The moon hung low and bloated in the night sky, casting an eerie glow over the deserted streets of Hartford. My breath came in ragged gasps as I sprinted through the shadows, the sound of my pounding footsteps echoing off the buildings. Behind me, I could hear it, the low, guttural growl that had haunted my nightmares for weeks. I shouldn't have been out here. I should have listened to the warnings, the hushed whispers of a beast stalking the city after dark. But I, Richard Thompson, a 47-year-old insurance adjuster who had lived in Hartford all my life, had been too stubborn, too set in my routines to heed them. Now, as I ran for my life through the maze-like streets of the city I once thought I knew, I realized just how foolish I had been. It had started as a typical late night at the office. The soft glow of my computer screen had lulled me into a false sense of security as I pored over claim forms, oblivious to the lateness of the hour. It wasn't until I finally looked up, stretching my aching back, that I noticed the inky blackness beyond my window. The clock on my desk mockingly displayed 11:47 p.m. With a weary sigh, I had gathered my things and headed out, my mind already on the leftover lasagna waiting for me at home. The parking garage had been eerily silent, my footsteps echoing off the concrete as I made my way to my car. That's when I first heard it, a scraping sound, like claws on metal, followed by a low, rumbling growl that seemed to reverberate through my very bones. I froze, keys clutched tightly in my trembling hand. Slowly, I turned toward the sound, my heart thundering in my chest. In the shadows between two parked cars, I saw a pair of glowing yellow eyes, fixed directly on me. They were too high off the ground to belong to a dog or even a large wolf. As I watched, paralyzed with fear, the creature emerged from the darkness. It was massive, easily 7 feet tall when standing on its hind legs. Coarse, matted fur covered its muscular body, and its elongated snout was filled with razor-sharp teeth. But it was the eyes that truly terrified me. They held an intelligence that was almost human, gleaming with a predatory hunger that sent ice through my veins. In that moment, faced with the impossible, my mind struggled to comprehend what I was seeing. A werewolf, the stuff of legends and horror movies, standing before me in the flesh. As the creature's lips pulled back in a snarl, revealing even more of those deadly teeth, my survival instincts finally kicked in. I turned and ran, and so began a nightmarish game of cat and mouse through the streets of Hartford. I darted down alleys, vaulted over fences, and weaved through abandoned lots, all the while hearing the creature's heavy breathing and the click of its claws on pavement not far behind. My lungs burned, and my legs screamed in protest, but terror kept me moving. As I rounded a corner onto Main Street, I caught sight of the Hartford Public Library looming ahead. Its grand stone facade, usually so welcoming, now seemed like a fortress of safety. If I could just make it inside, maybe I could barricade myself in until morning. With renewed determination, I sprinted towards the library steps. But just as I reached them, a weight slammed into my back, sending me sprawling across the concrete. Hot, fetid breath washed over me as I was flipped onto my back, coming face to face with the monster. Its yellow eyes bored into mine as drool dripped from its jaws onto my face. I could see my terrified reflection in its pupils, a man about to die in the most horrific way imaginable. As the werewolf's muzzle descended towards my throat, I closed my eyes, bracing for the end. But the killing blow never came. Instead, I heard a strange guttural sound, almost like speech but twisted and inhuman. My eyes flew open to see the creature's face inches from mine, its features contorting in what could only be described as a grotesque smile. "Richard Thompson," it growled, my name mangled by its inhuman vocal cords. "You've been chosen." Before I could process what was happening, the werewolf's jaws clamped down on my shoulder. Pain exploded through my body, white-hot and all-consuming. I screamed, the sound echoing off the buildings around us. But there was no one to hear, no one to help. As quickly as it had bitten me, the creature released its grip. It loomed over me, blood, my blood, dripping from its muzzle. "Welcome to the pack," it snarled, before bounding away into the night, leaving me lying broken and bleeding on the library steps. I don't know how long I lay there, drifting in and out of consciousness as my body burned with fever. When I finally managed to drag myself to my feet, the eastern sky was beginning to lighten with the first hints of dawn. Clutching my wounded shoulder, I stumbled home in a daze, my mind reeling from what had transpired. That was 3 weeks ago. Since then, my life has become a waking nightmare. The bite wound healed with unnatural speed, leaving behind a silvery scar in the shape of a crescent moon. But the changes didn't stop there. My senses have sharpened to an impossible degree. I can hear conversations from blocks away, smell emotions on people as they pass me on the street. My body has become leaner, stronger, barely recognizable as my own. And the dreams? Every night, I'm haunted by visions of running through moonlit forests, the taste of blood on my tongue. I wake up covered in dirt and leaves, with no memory of how I got there. Deep down, I know what's happening to me, but I can't bring myself to face it. Tonight is the full moon, the first since that fateful night. As I write this, I can feel something stirring inside me, a primal urge clawing its way to the surface. My bones ache and my skin feels too tight, like it's about to split open at any moment. I don't know what will happen when the moon rises, but I fear I'm about to find out. To whoever finds this, if I don't make it through the night, know that there are monsters lurking in the shadows of Hartford, and I may have become one of them. The sun is setting now, casting long shadows across my living room. My hands are shaking as I write these final words, my vision blurring as pain radiates through my body. I can feel the change coming, an unstoppable tide rising within me. God help me, and God help anyone who crosses my path tonight. As the last rays of sunlight fade, giving way to the silvery glow of the rising moon, I feel a scream building in my throat. But what emerges is not human. It's a long, mournful howl that echoes through the night, heralding the birth of a new predator in the streets of Hartford. The transformation is excruciating, every bone in my body breaking and reforming. My skin stretches and tears as coarse fur erupts across my body. I fall to the floor, convulsing as my face elongates into a muzzle filled with razor-sharp teeth. The pain is unbearable, but underneath it, there's something else, a wild, primal joy that terrifies me even more than the physical changes. As the transformation completes, I rise on powerful hind legs, my new form towering over the scattered remnants of my human life. The scents of the city flood my heightened senses. Car exhaust, cooking food, and underneath it all, the intoxicating aroma of human flesh. My mouth waters, and a growl rumbles deep in my chest. With a crash, I burst through my front door, wood splintering under my newfound strength. The cool night air washes over me as I bound down the street, reveling in the power coursing through my veins. Part of me, the rapidly fading human part, is horrified by what I've become. But that voice grows weaker with each passing moment, drowned out by the howl of the beast. I race through the darkened streets of Hartford, my keen eyes picking out every detail in the shadows. The city I've known all my life looks different now, a hunting ground teeming with prey. As I round a corner, I catch sight of a lone figure walking down the sidewalk. A young woman, her head down as she hurries home. The scent of her fear hits me like a physical blow as she spots me, her eyes widening in terror. She turns to run, but it's futile. In a few powerful bounds, I'm upon her. Her screams are cut short as my jaws close around her throat. The taste of blood explodes across my tongue, igniting a frenzy I can't control. When it's over, I stand over the ravaged body, panting heavily. Horror and elation war within me as I realize what I've done. But there's no time for reflection. In the distance, I hear sirens approaching. Someone must have heard the commotion and called the police. I flee into the night, my powerful legs carrying me effortlessly through the city. As I run, I catch glimpses of other shapes moving in the shadows. My pack, the ones who turned me. They call to me with howls that speak of the hunt, of power, of freedom from human constraints. Despite the part of me that still clings to my humanity, I find myself answering their call. We gather in Keeney Park, a group of monstrous shapes illuminated by the full moon. The Alpha, the one who bit me that night outside the library, approaches. In his bestial features, I see a reflection of what I've become. He nods in approval, and I know I've passed some unspoken test. I am truly one of them now. As we move deeper into the park, preparing to hunt as a pack, I catch sight of my reflection in a small pond. Yellow eyes stare back at me from a face that's no longer human. I am Richard Thompson no more. I am a creature of the night, a predator, a werewolf of Hartford. The moon climbs higher in the sky as we begin our hunt. The city sleeps on, unaware of the monsters that now stalk its streets. And as we run through the shadows, I realize that this is only the beginning. The curse of the werewolf has taken hold in Hartford, and with each full moon, our numbers will grow. To those who still walk the streets of Hartford unaware, beware the shadows, for we lurk within them. And when the moon is full, no one is safe from the werewolves that now call this city home. The night belongs to us now, and Hartford will never be the same. As dawn approaches and the moon begins to set, I feel the change coming over me once more. Bones crack and reshape, fur recedes, and I find myself human again, naked and shivering in the early morning light. The events of the night come rushing back, and I'm overwhelmed by a mixture of horror and exhilaration. I make my way home, keeping to the shadows, my mind reeling from what I've experienced. As I step into my apartment, I catch sight of myself in the mirror. I look the same as I always have, a middle-aged man with graying hair and tired eyes. But now I know the monster that lurks beneath this ordinary exterior. What happens next is uncertain. Can I control this new side of myself? Should I try to find a cure or embrace what I've become? All I know is that when the next full moon rises, the beast within me will emerge once more, and Hartford will tremble at the howl of its newest predator. This is my curse, my blessing, my new reality. I am Richard Thompson, insurance adjuster by day, werewolf by night, and my story is far from over. As I sit here penning these final words, I can't help but wonder about the future. Will I succumb entirely to the beast, losing the last shreds of my humanity? Or will I find a way to coexist with this new primal side of myself? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The streets of Hartford are no longer safe when darkness falls. So to those who read this, consider it a warning. When the moon is full and the night is deep, stay inside, lock your doors, and pray that the werewolves of Hartford don't catch your scent. For we are always hunting, always hungry, and the city is our playground now. The legend of the Hartford werewolf is no longer just a story to frighten children. It's a terrifying reality. And I, Richard Thompson, am living proof of the monsters that now stalk the shadows of this once peaceful city. Remember, when you hear a howl in the night, it might just be the wind, or it might be me calling to my pack as we prepare for the hunt. Either way, you'd best stay inside. For in Hartford, the night belongs to the werewolves now, and we're always watching, always waiting for our next victim. Sweet dreams, Hartford. We'll see you when the moon is full.